Hi everybody, I'm going to lead out and say this. There's absolutely no reason for anybody to not play the Powerball for the rest of your life, because odds are suddenly looking better. I'm talking about what happened this last week with the Covington High School kids. Now I'm going to preface this with as I always do, with something that's controversial. This is a conversation about race and culture and cultural boundaries. You know, I do my best to not trigger anybody all the time ever, but if the words like, you know, the colors of the spectrum offend you, and the existence of people from cultures that are not your own offends you, this probably isn't the video for you. Otherwise, the rest of us, we can sort of just, you know, be adults about this. So what happened, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that there was a group of high school students found themselves in a bit of a pickle with a Native American man in a bit of a standoff, right? So you got white kids and a Native American in a Mexican standoff, which is amazing. And as with everything viral, okay, so this started off with a viral video. And for whatever dumb fucking reason, the news media decides that it's a good idea to get a word in edgewise on viral videos. Why? Because they need money. So it's basically what's in the news. Well, there's this viral video of some pretty racist looking shit. Let's go to you live from our YouTube app. So they start broadcasting this shit, and the whole thing just blows up. Now, several days later, we actually know the truth. Okay, so lesson number one: viral videos are stupid because they're viral for one and only one reason. They're unverified. They're unverified because they quickly rise to popularity and views or whatever. And there's usually something to see, which means it's either going to piss you off or absolutely amaze you, or both. And I think that's what this video actually does. So anytime you get a viral video, it's bound for disaster, and it's bound to be untrue. And especially once the news gets it, oh man, especially when the news gets in on it, I can promise you that that the truth's not going to come out for about a week. So in general, golden rule: do not form an opinion of a viral video until after the next viral video has come out. Simple enough. Whenever a viral video comes out, form an opinion about the previous one. They come out every damn day, but at least every couple of days, right? So let's talk about what happened here in Covington and why you should play the Powerball, okay? Apparently, there is such a thing as black Jewish Israelites hanging out next to a Native American beating a drum across the street from a class of teenagers in MAGA hats. Wow! Holy shit! You could not possibly, all the supercomputers in the world could not calculate a worse situation to drop a dozen or so white kids into. You could not even calculate. I didn't even know such a thing existed as black Israelite Jews. Wow. That's amazing. And they're chilling with an Indian dude, like in full Indian getup, banging a drum. And I'm not even at the mall, right? Normally that's that shit you see with the pan flute bands at a mall. Nah, man, like to have all three of those come together. I mean, that's the stuff that bad jokes start off with, right? You know, like the shit's like, all right, you got three dudes walking on a beach. You got a white guy, a black guy, and a Mexican. They're walking down the beach and they find a genie lamp, right? It's the same shit. It's like, all right, so you got a group of white kids in MAGA hats, some black Israelite Jews, and a Native American beating a drum in front of the Lincoln Memorial, protesting abortion, right? Like, who in the fuck could have ever come up with this or done this shit on purpose? It's amazing. And yeah, you could not pick a worse situation for a group of white kids to find themselves into. You couldn't pick a more awkward situation for these black Israelites. And then the Native American dude he don't even have a dog in the fight. Just fucking plows up into the middle of them, banging a drum in people's faces. Wow. Now that I've got all that out my system, here's what we can learn, okay? Number one, people are quick to throw group identity around, and they're quick to play identity politics. You cannot do that in 2019 and keep your sanity, because that's how people start arguments. That's how people start conflicts. That's how people virtue signal. You don't want to be part of that of that behavior. You don't want to have anything to do with that. Okay? And you're gonna have people that suck you into conflicts over this shit. Okay? Don't buy it. Plain and simple. What are the group identity politics? Obviously, this is so intersectional. Like I said, it's so intersectional. It is mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Okay? Now, let's take a look at the situation without race, culture, none of that. No intersections. And let's look at what happened. Okay? Because we now know the truth behind what happened. You have a class of teenagers, so a school class of kids. Adults start yelling at the kids. Adults start acting like non-adults. They're adults. They act as if they're not and shouldn't have to. They start acting like non-adults. A third adult decides to get between the childish adults and the actual children, banging a drum. And shit goes down. Right? What happened here? So this is what happened. You had several things going on. You had emboldening by group mentality or mob mentality, whatever you want to call it. The emboldening for bad behavior to occur, which is a known, what do you call it? Damn it. Phenomenon. It's a known phenomenon to occur. You get a group of people together, suddenly the members of the group, they feel safe enough to act badly, and they take risks and they do it. But no, whose fault is all of this? I'll tell you whose fault it is. It's the fault of two people. It's the fault of the adults on both sides. Okay? It's the fault of the black Israelite Jews for not being adults. And it's the fault of the teachers and the chaperones for not removing the children from such a situation. And instead, everybody gets their damn phone out. Now, that's what's sad. Like, this could have ended far worse than it did. Thankfully, it didn't. This is what happens when you get adults acting like they're not adults and thinking as if they don't have to be adults. This is what happens when the heat of the moment and the novelty of the moment outweighs common sense. Okay? Thankfully, nobody got hurt, because it doesn't always end that way. We all know that. We know that very well. It doesn't always end that way. Okay? It is nobody else's fault except for the goddamn adults that don't act like adults. All right. You got Indian Chief Captain Wow fucking banging a drum in a teenager's face, right? What kind of balls is that, where you see a group of white kids in MAGA hats and a group of black Jewish Israelites going head to head, and you're like, I think I got the solution right here. Bang my drum in their face. That'll calm them down. Right? Thank God for the soothing power of an Indian chief beating a drum in your face. It calms me down 100% of the time, all the time, never. This is such bad adulting. Such bad adulting. All right? And the lesson that I wanted to bring up here is when you get into weaponized intersectionality, and I did a whole video on that before, this is what happens. This is what happens when you take it too far. Understand, we need it to an extent. We need group identity to an extent, but there are boundaries with everything, okay? We cannot be overly intersectional because we lose sight of what's actually happening. We lose sight of that. We lose sight of the fact that you got groups of adults acting just as bad, if not worse, than a class of school kids. Is literally what this looks like, with no intersectionality, with no group identities. You got bad behaving adults behaving badly with teenagers. What is going on? What is going on? Without the lens of identity politics, group identity, all that shit, you can see what happened a lot more clearly. And then when people go onto social media and talk about it, you have a much clearer picture. Last takeaway for white people, right? The MAGA hat, man, you know, it's the new hoodie for white people. We all remember what happened with Trayvon and the whole thing with hoodies and what it means to be black wearing a hoodie at night. Okay? You're asking for it. You're a white guy wearing a bright red MAGA hat. Okay? You don't look like somebody people want to come up and hug. You don't. That may not be your intention, but it's still just, it's a pretty damn bad idea. And if you're going to get a whole group of you together, with your, white people together wearing your MAGA hats, stand in a circle with one of you in the middle, because then you look like the Target logo, and at least it makes better sense. Look good as a unit. Look good. If you're gonna make yourself a target, you might as well stand in formation. Okay? Don't go around standing in groups wearing MAGA hats for the same reason black people do not stand around in groups wearing hoodies with their hair braided in cornrows. We live in a country where you should be able to do these things, and you can't. All right? And I'm not even this can lead down a whole like hours long conversation, and I don't have that, right? But this is just another good example of how when you deal with conflict seekers and they want to use intersectionality to stir up a conflict, like what happened just this last week. This is a prime example of how intersectionality is used to stir up conflict and how to just take the piss out of people's day. Exactly like this. It goes from adults behaving badly and children behaving badly to a racist standoff between white teenagers in MAGA hats, hurling racial slurs against a Native American man screaming, "Build the wall." None of that shit happened. And I'm out of time. Thank you very much for watching.